This queen of narco trafficking not only killed her first 3 husbands, but also earned roughly $80 million per month. But who is she and what did she do? Welcome to the top 10 most notorious female gangsters to have ever existed. Now sit back, relax and get ready as we show you how these crazy gun moles took no prisoners and caused total and utter chaos. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button if you like this content and hit the like button on the video to help it rise in the YouTube algorithm. Number 10. Virginia Hill. Notorious mainly for being the girlfriend of Brooklyn's infamous mobster Bugsy Siegel, Hill was known by several nicknames including Queen of the Gangster Moles and Flamingo. Originally telling people she grew up in poverty, she claimed that she did not even own a pair of shoes until she was 17 years old. After moving to Chicago from Georgia, she initially worked as an accountant for Al Capone before later moving to Los Angeles where she met Siegel. After becoming both his lover and courier, Siegel met his end after being assassinated in her home in 1947. She was out of the house at the time of the hit, but has always denied ever knowing that he was in the crime business. She ended her days in suspicious circumstances, the victim of what some speculate to be an apparent hit, after being found in a snowdrift, the victim of an apparent overdose of sleeping pills. Number 9. Ma Barker. Remembered as one of the godmothers of crime, Ma Barker, also known as Kate Barker and Arizona Donnie Barker, was merciless. Head of the infamous Barker crime family, she married George Barker and the couple had 4 sons together. Highway robberies began as early as 1910 and many of these led to murders that led to one of her sons taking his own life to avoid capture. After the other sons ended up in jail, Ma went cold turkey from crime and later reunited with Fred Barker upon his release from jail in 1931. This led to an almost instantaneous crime spree that ended both her life and his when the FBI stormed her hideout in Lake Weir, Florida. She was named by J. Edgar Hoover as the most vicious, dangerous and resourceful criminal brain of the last decade. Number 8. Bonnie Parker. Another one of the most infamous female gangsters, Bonnie Parker became one part of the famous duo Bonnie and Clyde. Both notorious bank robbers, she became public enemy number 1 between 1931 and 1934, practically becoming both an outlaw and celebrity at the same time. Born in Texas, she was a smart and outspoken member of the Rowena community she lived in and met Clyde in 1930 while still married. While the robberies and killings made the couple both famous, a photo shoot close to their Joplin, Missouri hideout became infamous as a part of their story. Parker died alongside Clyde when she was just 23 years old in 1934 during a shootout with police, but she has been portrayed in a number of movies and TV series. Number 7. Stephanie St. Clair. Known as Madame St. Clair in Harlem, St. Clair was called Queenie in much of Manhattan and was a force to be reckoned with, taking down corrupt cops and preventing mobsters from making money on her turf. Along with a number of enforcers that included Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, she had alliances with a number of gangsters including Lucky Luciano. One of her most famous moments came when she sent a letter to the deathbed of a wounded Dutch Schultz, gloating over his injuries. St. Clair retired later in life and handed her empire over to Ellsworth, who later became known as the Harlem Godfather. She has been immortalized in the 1984 movie The Cotton Club and was portrayed by Cicely Tyson in Hoodlum, a 1997 film. Number 6. Opal Long. A famous member of John Dillinger's terror gang, she was presumed to have been born in Texas and went by the nickname Madame Truck, thought to have been coined from her size. Often going by the name Bernice Clark, Long would clean the hideout and cook for the gang on a regular basis. After the arrest of Russell Clark, her husband, her life went downhill severely and she would end up not only begging the gang for money but also attacking police, a move that led to her arrest and imprisonment. She never told anyone about other members of the gang and was paroled in November 1934, spending the rest of her days in Chicago. Number 5. Griselda Blanco. Officially the first ever criminal to become a billionaire, Griselda Blanco went by a number of nicknames including La Madrina, the Black Widow and the Cocaine Godmother. One of the many feared drug lords of the Medellin cartel, this queen of narco trafficking not only killed her first 3 husbands, but also earned roughly $80 million per month. Smuggling unbelievable amounts of cocaine from Colombia to the United States in the 1970s and 80s, she developed a way to move the drug using specially designed women's underwear. She is thought to have ordered the deaths of over 2,000 people, including children, and never actually carried out the hits herself. Thought to be akin to the legendary Pablo Escobar, Blanco was shot dead outside a butcher shop aged 69 years old during a motorbike assassination in Medellin, Colombia. Number 4. Sister Ping. Thought to be responsible for trafficking over 3,000 illegal immigrants from China to the United States, Sister Ping was the leader of the feared Chinatown underground crime group of the 1980s and 1990s. Nicknamed the Snakehead, Cheng Chu Ping was her real name, and she made a considerable amount of money, literally charging $40,000 per person moved from country to country. Thousands died on the dangerous journey between Hong Kong, Guatemala and New York, and the travel time sometimes took over 100 days. Ping died in prison aged 65 after being convicted of immigrant smuggling, money laundering and trafficking, but never quite lost her fearsome business reputation. She was and still is described by immigrants as both good and honest, something the US immigration authorities would strongly disagree on. Number 3. Maria Lecchiadi. Becoming head of the Lecchiadi clan after the death of her husband, Maria Lecchiadi became one of the founders of the strategic Secondigliano alliance. One of the most powerful bosses of the Camorra in Naples, she went by several names including Little Girl, Princess and Godmother. Her choice of crime included cigarette smuggling, protection rackets and drugs, while she also instigated the sex trade into the gang's profile. After a crime spree that lasted 8 years, she was arrested in 2001 after a shipment of heroin came into Naples too pure, resulting in the deaths of many people. She was added to the list of the 30 most wanted Italians, with investigators knowing very little about either her or the operation she was running. After her arrest, a bitter turf war ensued, with over 120 people killed in the gang wars that followed. After being in prison, she became known as the Scarlet Pimpernel of Italy and continued to run parts of the operation from her cell. She was released in 2009, but became a fugitive again in 2019 after being accused of running protection rackets and trying to flee to Spain. Number 2. Pearl Eliot. One of the most notorious madams of the 20th century, Eliot owned a brothel in Kokomo, Indiana that also served as a hideout for gangs committing bank robberies. It did not take long for her to earn a place on the public enemies list, something that turned her police protection into quite the opposite, with a shoot-to-kill policy in effect. She had close ties to both John Dillinger and Harry Pierpont, notorious gangsters in their own right, and was treasurer for Dillinger at one point. Despite running one of the biggest illegal operations in Indiana, she escaped punishment and died on August 10th, 1935, likely from cancer. Number 1. Sandra Avila Beltran. One of the most powerful drug kings in Mexico, Sandra Avila Beltran earned her nickname as La Reina del Pacifico, translated to the Queen of the Pacific by the media. The niece of a famous drug trafficker, Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, known as the boss of bosses, she rose to power through intimate connections. Along the way, she seduced many drug kingpins and upper echelon police officers, becoming the powerful force in the cocaine world through a combination of ruthless business sense. She was finally caught in 2007 and arrested for drug trafficking, later being extradited to the United States. After being deported back to Mexico, she was sentenced to 5 years in prison before being released in 2015 and now lives in the city of Guadalajara. Thanks for watching this video on the 10 most notorious female gangsters to have ever existed. Please throw a like on the video to support this ongoing series, comment down below if you think I missed anyone famous, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one coming soon.